Hello, my name is Keshwani. That's Keshwani, Keshwani. We are here because we want to learn algebra. Today is our lesson number 86, day number 86. Here's a quick overview of the course, the topics that we have covered so far. In the first 20 days, day number 1 through 20, we learned how to evaluate algebraic expression. Over the next 30 days, day number 21 through 50, we learned how to add and subtract algebraic expressions. And then over the next 25 days, day number 51 through 75, we had been doing multiplication of the algebraic expressions. And then over the last 10 days, day number 76 through 85, we learned how to divide algebraic expressions. We are done with all of those topics. We are done with talking about algebraic expressions. Starting from today and for the next 15 days, day number 86 through 100, we're going to learn how to deal with linear equations. Now, as usual, as you know from the past, in the first few days, the problems are going to be very simple, very straightforward. But as we move up high, as we move higher up towards the high 90s, the equations are going to get a little bit more difficult. But today, everything that I have here is very simple, very straightforward. As a matter of fact, they are so simple and so straightforward that they might even qualify as simple oral exercise. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to write anything. You will know the answer right away just by looking at the problem. For example, number 1, and these are all linear equations. Let's first talk about it. What does it mean, linear equation? Linear equation. Let me quickly introduce that concept here. Linear equation means the variables or variables are raised to only first power. For example, here's a linear equation, y equals x plus 3. Even though it has two variables, y equals x plus 3, it's a linear equation because y is raised to the first power and x is raised to the first power. Here's an example of another linear equation, 3 times p equals 21. Well, here there is only one variable, but that variable is raised to only first power. It's linear. If the variable or variables in the given equation happen to be raised to a second power, let's move on to second power, then it is known as quadratic equations, where variable or variables are raised to second power. For example, if somebody tells you x squared equals to 9, well, that's a quadratic equation. It's a very simple equation, but it's a quadratic equation nonetheless. There is another example of quadratic equation, 3x squared plus y squared equals 10. Here we have two variables. They are both raised to second power. It's a quadratic equation. But both of those variables need not be raised to second power. All that is required for it to qualify as a quadratic equation is that at least one variable is raised to a second power. That is a quadratic equation. 3x squared plus y is a quadratic equation. 3x plus y squared is a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation simply means that the highest power that you see there in one of the variables in the given equation, whether the equation has two variables or one variable or three variables or 10 variables, at least one of those variables, the highest power is that you see there, is the second power. What happens if it's raised to a third power? Cubic equation, raised to third power. Here's a simple example. If someone tells you that x cubed is equal to 27, what's the value of x? Well, that's a cubic equation. It's cubic because it's raised to a third power. And then after that you have the fourth power and so on and so forth. We are talking about a scenario, the simplest scenario, where the given variable is going to be raised to a very first power. It's a linear equation. It's called linear because if you were to draw its graph, it's going to be a straight line. The slope is going to be constant. But we won't go there right now. Okay, right now we are here only to learn what a linear equation is, which means it's an equation raised to a first power, and we want to learn how to solve it. Let's get going. Enough of the talk. Let's get going. I have 10 problems here. It's going to take some time, so we need to speed up here. Here's the first one. 3p equals 21. 3p equals 21. Well, what must be the value of p? As you can see, it could qualify as simple as an oral exercise. I hope I spelled the exercise properly. I do not know the spelling of the word exercise. I'm going to erase it. I know, I'm a bad speller. I have the nagging feeling that there was no S at the end there, but anyway, we won't worry about it. It's too simple. What value, 3 times what number equals 21? Of course 7. But if you want to show your work, this is how you would show your work. You divide both sides by 3, and when we divide both sides by 3, this 3 cancels out with this 3, and p equals 21 divided by 3, which is 7. 21 divided by 3 is 7. Let's do one more. 5x equals to 25. 5x equals to 25. What number times 5 equals 25? Of course 5. Again, if you want to show your work, you divide both sides by 5, and by the virtue of dividing both sides of the equation by 5, but you must divide both sides of the equation by 5. This is how you say it. Don't simply say divide by 5. Divide what by 5? Or don't say divide this side by 5. You must divide both sides of the equation by 5. Otherwise, that equation is no longer equation if you just divide one side. Whatever you do to one side of the equation must be done to the other side of the equation, the exact same thing, in order for it to remain an equation. Otherwise, the quantity on the left will no longer equate to quantity on the right if you do something to one side and not the other side. So, x equals 25 divided by 5, which is 5, x equals 5. Let's do one more. Number 3. Where was I? 3m equals 18. What number times m? What number times 3 equals 18? Of course, the answer is 6. Divide both sides by 3. Divide both sides by 3, and you get. I'm getting sloppy here. 3 cancels out. 18 divided by 3 is 6. So your m equals 6. Let's do one more. Number 4. They're going to go very fast. Number 4. 55w equals 11. Now slow down here. We need to slow down here. What number multiplied by 55? What number multiplied by 55 will give us 11? This is a little tricky. Again, the same idea. It doesn't change anything. To get rid of the 55, divide both sides of the equation by 55. And as you divide both sides of the equation by 55, this 55 on the top cancels out this 55, and your w equals 11 over 55. You divide top and bottom by 11, so you end up with 1 over 5. The answer is 1/5. 1/5. That's all. It makes sense because the original equation was 55w equals 11. So the question here is what number times 55 equals 11? The answer is 1/5 of 55 equals 11. 1/5 of 55 equals 11, which means w is 1/5. Right there, we found it. Just do one more. Number 5. I need the room, so I need to erase everything. Number 5. I am going a little bit faster. I don't know why I'm so paranoid. I don't want to go too far and too much into the time. I shouldn't have chosen 10 questions to do. But what's going on here is that I'm squeezing everything that I wanted to do about the linear equation in our schedule, which is that I want to end the topic on the day number 100, so that we can start our word problem with 101, day number 101, so that we can keep track of our problem numbers. We're going to do 100 word problem, beginning with 101, ending with 200. That's the plan. Anyway, what number was I? Yeah, number 5. Let's take a look at number 5. 7 times p equals negative 28. So what number times 7 will equal negative 28? Well, that's the tricky one, isn't it? I know 7 times 4 equals 28, but we have a negative 28 here. So what number times 7 equals negative 28? The answer, of course, is negative 4. Negative 4 times positive 7 will give us negative 28. Again, this is how you show your work. Divide both sides by 7. And of course, technically speaking, strictly speaking, if you're Puritan, my math teacher would say that at that point, this equal sign has to be dropped so that it lines up with this sign right here. It looks better. 7 drops out, and P equals negative 27 over positive 7. We know that negative divided by positive equals negative. Negative divided by positive equals negative. Positive divided by negative equals negative. Oh, it's right here, right here. As long as we have unlike sign, positive divided by negative equals negative, negative divided by positive equals negative. So, negative 28 over positive 7 gives us negative 4. Which makes sense because 7 times negative 4 is going to give us a negative 28 that we had. Let's go to the next one, number 5, number 6. Now before I go into number 6, I'm going to disappear from the screen just for a second and I'll be right back. I want to see how we are doing time-wise. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm still in the room. No need to worry. We are 11 minutes into it. And I do not want to go over 15 minutes. So let's do number 6. Question number 6. Perhaps tomorrow it will be better because I won't have to explain the concept of linear equations. The next one is 4x equals negative 16. The same situation. Divide both sides by 4. Divide both sides by 4, and as you do that, to bring the equal sign down, 4 divided by 4 is just 1, it cancels out, so x equals negative 16 over 4. Negative 16 over 4 is, this is a positive 4, negative divided by positive is negative, and 16 divided by 4 is 4, so it's negative 4. Which again makes sense because 4 times negative 4, 4 times negative 4 will give us the negative 16 that we had. Let's do number 7. Three times y equals negative 12. 3 times y equals negative 12. Again, same idea. In order to get rid of the 3, from this side, divide both sides of the equation by 3. Again, one more time, that's how you must speak. Divide both sides of the equation by 3. Do not be lazy. You have to say the whole thing, express the whole thing properly, because people cannot read your mind. Don't say divide by 3. Divide what by 3? Or don't say divide this side by 3. We're not just dividing this side by 3 to get rid of this 3 from this side. We are dividing both sides of the equation by 3. That's how we do it. So 3 is gone, and therefore we are left with y, and y equals negative 12 over 3, which is a positive 3. 12 divided by 3 is 4, and negative divided by positive is negative, so it's negative 4. Which of course we can quickly verify, because we get 3y, which we know is negative 4. 3 times negative 4 equals negative 12. Let's go to number 8. As I said, they're going to get a little bit more complicated in a couple of days. It's not going to remain this simple. I'm not going to keep doing this thing for 15 days. They're going to get complicated. 4 times z equals 0. Well, this is a tricky one, isn't it? What number times 4 will give us 0? Well, what number times 4? What number times 4 is going to give us 0? If you like, you can divide both sides by 4. And as you divide both sides by 4, this equation comes down a little bit. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so this is z equals 0 divided by 4. Well, we know that 0 divided by any number equals 0. We know that 0 divided by any number is 0, which makes sense, of course, because if I have a big fat 0, and if I divide that big fat 0 into 5 parts, well, now I have 5 big fat zeros, because if I have an imaginary pie, I don't have a real pizza, and if I divide the imaginary pizza into 5 pieces, how much does everybody get? Everybody gets an imaginary pizza. It's not there. 0 divided by anything is 0. So, the answer here was 0. Z equals 0. Z equals 0. 4 times 0 equals 0. Number 9. Negative 2. Ah, this is an interesting one. Negative 2y equals negative 18. Aha. In order to get rid of this negative 2, we need to divide both sides by negative 2. Both sides of the equation by negative 2. Bring the equal sign down so it lines up with the division sign. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is just 1. And then y equals negative 18 divided by negative 2. But we know that when you divide like sign, negative divided by negative is positive. Positive divided by positive is positive. When you divide like sign, we get positive. Positive divided by positive is positive. Negative divided by negative is positive. So negative divided by negative is positive. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So the answer is positive 9. Which makes perfect sense, because if you were to plug it back in to verify, we'll see that negative 2 times a positive 9, negative times positive is negative, and 2 times 9 is 18. Negative 18, which is what we had here. Let's do one more, the last one. I need the room. Number 10. 13d equals 39. In order to get the d by itself, we need to divide both sides of the equation by 13. I do not like this marker. It writes in a very funny way. You understand? And if I keep writing it, it's just a matter of time before this funny begins to border on hilarious. And I want to chuck it before it gets to that point. Give me a second. I mean, one can handle funny, don't get me wrong. Funny I can handle. It's the hilarity that I do not care for. There you go. So 13 divided by 13, it cancels out, and d equals 39 divided by 13. 39 divided by 13 is 3. 13 times 3. 13 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9, and 39. See? D equals 3. That's your answer. And that's all I have for today. Tomorrow also I'm going to do the same exact thing, very simple linear equations, nothing complicated. But well, they're going to get a little bit more complicated, as you will see. And then after tomorrow, we're going to get into real linear equations, where a little bit more we'll have to do, few more steps we'll have to do before we get the answer. And like I said, by the time we get into the high 90s, you're going to get the proper flavor of what it means to solve a linear equation. You understand? This is just the beginning part. I will see you tomorrow. On day number 87. Okay? Bye-bye.